let's talk about what's going on in the NBA. Patrick Beverly now has been suspended 4 games. And it was said because he threw a ball off the face of a lady who had no idea the ball was coming because he actually missed the person he was intending to throw the ball at. And then also the interaction.
Got the ball back. Whipped it again.
Hit the person he was aiming at.
Yeah.
I think that's who he was aiming at both times. He went 1 for 2, 500. Get you a Hall of Fame baseball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Get you a Hall of Fame baseball. But obviously the NBA gets suspended for 4 games. It wasn't just the ball throw to a woman's face, though, in the front row. It was also the interaction with the reporter afterwards. It kind of all went together. And how did they get to this? Was this the expected outcome? And is this normal for a media interaction to be a part of a suspension?
Yeah, a couple things. Definitely the word was that Patrick Beverly was going to get suspended. It was going to be more than just 1 game. He was suspended a few years ago in 2021, I believe, for pushing Chris Paul in the back in the last game that he played. He ends up getting suspended for 1 game after that series, and that suspension kicks in the following year in 21-22. So now, again, if Patrick Beverly does sign with a team this offseason as a free agent, which you would assume so given his pedigree, he's going to be suspended for 4 games. So, yes, part of it was a good part of it was the fact that he threw the ball into the crowd twice. So first time he throws it in, it actually hits one of the females in the head, and that is now open to a police investigation. The fact that his interaction, the incident between him and the fan, and I'm told the focus of that police investigation is around one of the females being hit in the head with the basketball, and then he gets the basketball back and whips it back at the fan that he was trying to whip it at. Shout out, that fan took it. He ate it like a champ. I believe he might have even caught it eventually at the end of the day. He got it. So that was part of the suspension. But the other part was the post-game situation with the ESPN producer. And I have a statement from a league spokesperson right now. Patrick Beverly's behavior towards ESPN producer Melinda Adams was unacceptable, unprofessional, and failed to meet the standard that NBA players consistently meet in their interactions with the media. And so that essentially is saying that there are obligations that NBA players have with the media and how they deal with the media, and the league will take that into account. And I think the fact, the response of, you have to subscribe to my podcast. Are you subscribed to my podcast? I think that was a part of it. But then it was even, initiating the removal of that said producer from the media scrum. And I think the league factored all that in and delivered that 4-game suspension yesterday.
Okay, thank you for the statement from the league there, because obviously we asked you this morning, and it was like, is interactions with media something like, hey, subscribe to my podcast, and then the shooing away seemingly, especially to somebody who seems like is respected by every human she's ever worked with ever. It's a whole thing like, hey, you didn't represent the NBA in Indiana, and that is a 4-game suspension, and we don't want anybody else potentially feeling like they can treat people like this if they're representing an NBA team. That's kind of what the statement says and how you're viewing this?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to someone else today, and the way it was described to me, it was just uncalled for. It was unacceptable. And, the aspect of responding about just subscribe to my podcast. I mean, theoretically, he could have, you could respond that way to a question, but I think it was the aspect of removal, initiating the removal from the media.
Hey, we get a lot of money from these people, the NBA. Hey, we get a lot of, the media is a vital, we have every year for training camp in the NFL, we have a media meeting where it tells you like, hey, this is just a matter of fact. Our relationship with the media is a massive piece of the business of our league. Like, there is times where you're going to have to speak when you don't want to speak. They are a crucial role of it. Some of them are terrible. This is just how it goes. It's part of the game. I assume the NBA does the same thing. Happy to hear, that the lady, though, who got hit in the face here in Indiana, sitting out of nowhere, got some justice in the NBA. If she doesn't want to press charges, and I respect the hell out of the Indianapolis police, we have great relationship with them. And there's obviously not everybody's perfect, and they've certainly made mistakes, but there's a lot of people there that are good. We shouldn't just be chasing a case in a competitive, and hopefully that'll end up happening.